You ready?
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy, a production of flagandbanner.com. Through storytelling and conversational interviews, this weekly radio show offers listeners firsthand insight into starting and running a business, the ups and downs of risk-taking, and the commonalities of successful people. Connect with Kerry through her candid, often funny, and informative weekly blog, where you'll read and can comment on life as wife, mother, daughter, and entrepreneur. And now it's time for Kerry McCoy to get all up in your business.
I'm Kerry McCoy, and it's time for me to get up in your business. For the next hour, my guest, Terry Hartwick, the director of North Little Rock Parks and Rec, and I will be getting up in the business of growing up in North Little Rock, supporting local businesses, and ways you can enjoy some of the parks of Arkansas. We hope through our conversation and storytelling you will learn something, want to get involved, or be inspired to take action in your own life. And we'll be answering questions via phone and email. For me, the taking action began over 40 years ago when I founded Arkansas Flag and Banner. During the last 4 decades, Arkansas Flag and Banner has grown and morphed from door-to-door sales to telemarketing to mail order and catalog sales, and now relies heavily on the internet. Each change in sales strategy required a change in company thinking and procedures. My confidence, leadership knowledge, and my company grew. My initial $400 investment now produces nearly $4 million in annual sales. Each week on this show, you'll hear candid conversations between me and my guests about real-world experiences on a variety of businesses and topics that I hope you'll find interesting. Starting and running a business or organization is like so many things. It takes persistence, perseverance, and patience. I worked part-time jobs for 9 years before Arkansas Flag and Banner grew enough to support just me. It's now grown so much that to operate efficiently, we require 10 departments and 25 people to maintain them, thus reminding us all again that small businesses are not only the fuel of our economic engine, but also impact and empower people's lives. Before we start, I want to introduce you to the people at the table. We have my technician, Tim, who'll be running the board and taking your calls. Say hello, Tim.
Hello, Tim.
And we have a new technician, Jesse, today. He's going to get us on 2 channels, so we'll have better editing. Say hello, Jesse.
Why, hello.
My guest today is lifelong resident of North Little Rock, Arkansas, Mr. Terry Hartwick. Terry graduated from North Little Rock High School, attended the University of Central Arkansas, served in the United States Air Force, and is a veteran of foreign wars. In 1984, Terry ran and was elected mayor of his hometown, North Little Rock. Later, in 2001, Terry became the president and CEO of the North Little Rock Chamber of Commerce, where his focus was helping small businesses grow and be successful. Under his tenure at the chamber grew to become the 3rd largest in the state. During this time, Terry worked closely with the city on projects such as relocating the Arkansas Travelers baseball team to the new Dickey Stevens ballpark, revitalization of downtown, and the expansion of businesses to East McCain and Maumelle Boulevard areas. After 15 years with the chamber, Terry made yet another career move as he became the director of North Little Rock Parks and Rec. Since taking this position in 2016, he's added 3 new rental facilities, upgraded Burns Park Golf Course and equestrian parking, brought special events to raise funds for One Heart Playground, a playground made accessible for children and parents with special needs, and worked with his staff to develop a new logo and a bi-weekly newsletter. Wow. You sound good. It's a pleasure to welcome to the table the loyal and competent Mr. Terry Hartwick.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We're both from North Little Rock. We've been in here reminiscing about North Little Rock.
Yeah, I can remember back in the old days for sure.
It's good. It was good to grow up in North Little Rock. Do you know why they call North Little Rock Dogtown? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I know why.
Well, tell everybody.
North Little Rock was the 8th ward of Little Rock, and at that time we were trying to, I guess, succeed or create our own town. So when Little Rock people found about it, they kind of took the dogs that they picked up and brought them to North Little Rock and put them on our side of the river.
We didn't have any leash laws.
We didn't have any leash laws then. So long story short, it was just kind of a payback from Little Rock for us trying to become our own city. So anyway. it's been good.
You know, I love that story
Yeah.
because we had no leash laws, and it harkens back to that part in the movie To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah. If you remember, you may not, but when I was mayor, we actually buried Dogtown. We had actually a cemetery plaque or whatever you call it, and it was in City Hall, and it says, "Here lies Dogtown." So Jackie Neal Doug got that, and I remember we had it at City Hall for a long time, so we buried Dogtown back in those days. Nowadays, we kind of like saying,
I know.
Dogtown. Oh, I'm a Dogtown. Yeah.
I agree. It's come full circle.
Yeah, it has.
So you said that you added 3 new rental facilities. What does that mean?
Well, we had a place called Stone Links. It was a golf course, and the pro shop had closed up, and it was just laying there in ruins. So what I did, I took Stone Links, the pro shop, and made it a hospitality house. So now we rent it out to many people from anywhere from birthday parties to graduation parties to wedding receptions to so on. In fact, last week we had over 2,000 people there that had Conquer the Gauntlet. It was a thing where you climb over, I guess, fences, crawl through mud, and you run a course for about 2 miles. But it's well served for the east end of our town, where they had nothing to go to.
So it's for the kids.
Well, kids, adults, anybody. I mean, you'd be surprised. We've had birthday parties, like I said, receptions, wedding receptions, showers. So it has been redone completely. So it's on the east end of our town. And it was just laying there, kind of like nothing was going on. So we took it, and I would say this year we'll probably do $21,000 worth of rentals out of that one unit. Then I went to the Heritage Room, the golf course. It was the Heritage Room. We call it the Heritage Room now because we named it after Glenn Day. He won the Heritage Classic. But
I get you.
It's at the golf course, but it was a ruined old pro shop. And what we've done now is kind of the same thing. We've taken it and cleaned it up, made it where you would be proud to go into it. And again, it gives people in our city more opportunities to rent places because it's tough. I mean, if you're trying to find a place that, like I say, for birthday parties, wedding receptions, whatever, just even a sales meeting, where do you go? Well, it didn't cost you $400. So you come to the parks and we rent that to you for about $200. And the third one is, I took the old River House down. It used to be a bike shop, and it was completely destroyed. I mean, completely. It's right on the river, overlooks the Arkansas River. And we did the same thing to it, and it rents 2 to 3 times every weekend. In fact, last weekend they had a cotillion there. So
who manages these?
we do it through the parks now. You call in the parks and say, I'd like to have a room rented, and we go, here's your choices. Plus, we still have the hospitality house out there, which everybody's probably been to at one time or another.
Out where?
In Burns Park.
Yeah.
Actually, in Burns Park, it'll hold about 200 people. So many, many events we've had there. But now we have opportunities. So if you live in the East End, you go, you got anything out here closer for my people? So now we got Stone Links. Now we got one on the river.
And then where was that third one that you said?
The Heritage
Where's
Room.
that one?
That's actually in the right behind, it's on the golf course. And
The same golf course.
same golf course, same Burns Park. We just took an old building and redid it, and it is rented. All of these are rented 2 or 3 times a week usually.
Oh, it's the golf course at Burns Park.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, Carrie. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes, son.
All right. But yeah, we've taken those, and
That sounds awesome.
they are all renting quite heavily, and it's very much used, and it's something that, you know, I saw a need for, and guess what? People are taking advantage of
You
it.
had the property already.
Yeah, we did.
And,
it's sitting there in ruins, so we fixed them up. Made it pretty.
And how do people find out about it if they want to rent it?
What happens is people will call in asking for the hospitality house, but now there's enough people that go, well, the hospitality's full, and then what we just do is like anybody else, we go, would you consider going to the golf course? We have a place there that'll hold 80. We got a place on Riverfront that'll hold 120, and they go, Riverfront? Yeah, I'm interested. So they'll come by and get a key, or they'll go out to the golf course, and we'll show them, and after we show them, they're usually hooked.
So is it online? You can go and learn about them online
yeah,
at what, North Little Rock Parks
and Rec, yeah.
North Little Rock Parks and Rec.
And then we have,
.gov?
It's .gov, yeah, NLR.AR.gov, so North Little Parks.
Anyway, you can go there and learn about the opportunities, and then you can call and find out if they're available,
Sure.
and the people will help you figure
yeah.
out if one's full to use another one. That's
Exactly,
good.
yeah.
What about this equestrian parking? Is that for horses?
Yep. What happened, I went out there, and there's a lady, her name is Lee Bell, and Lee has been a friend of mine for, oh gosh, many, many years, but she loves horses. She's just a horse freak. Well, she come to me and said, Terry, if you have 3 or 4 trailers and you have your horses, they were sitting on kind of a slanted hill, it got kind of tough. So I said, well, let me just fix that. So what we've done, we've moved the equestrian trail where you go and park and made a flat spot now where you can only, where before you could only put maybe 3 or 4 trailers, now you can have 20. And they're flat and it's easy for women to get on it. We have stepping stools that for them to jump on the horse and you know, we just kind of made it better and easier. You just got to look at what people need and know that with a little ingenuity and a little people saying yes, you can go do things that are so simple. We have other areas they could park, and that's all it took is a new parking area.
Is that in Burns Park?
In Burns Park too.
So if you want to come ride your horse,
Yeah.
you can trailer it to Burns Park,
Burns Park.
and you can ride it.
Yeah, all through I mean, there's trails after trails after trails after trails out there, and it's really neat.
And it's alongside the river.
Well, you could get down by side of the river. Yeah, you can be up in the mountains, or you can be, I mean, we got some pretty good sized mountains up there in Burns Park. I shouldn't say mountains, hills, I guess you'd say. In fact, one of my new plans for next year is making a mountain biking trail. Mountain biking has become very, very popular. I'm probably going to hire a firm in this next year to look what it takes to put a mountain biking trail in and clean up some of the trails we have and make them better. So I saw your son shaking and said mountain biking is a big thing.
You like that?
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. It's not just his age. You got kids that are 9, 10, 11 years old right now mountain biking. So, you know, Burns Park to me is a hidden jewel. Now, I know I was mayor and it was there, and then I went to Parks and Rec, but when Joe, the mayor, gave me the opportunity to run parks, at first I went, let's you and I talk about this to see if I want to do it. But then the more I looked at what the opportunities were, I went, this is pretty neat. We can do things that no one else has done, such as the One Heart Park. I mean, here I run probably one of the second largest municipal parks in the world, and we didn't
Are you talking about Burns Park?
Yeah, Burns Park. And not only is it Burns Park, I've got 35 community parks too in our city. So there's always like Idlewild Park, and there's Fernie Hole Park, and there's Crestwood. So, but what I found out is we didn't have anything for what I call special needs, and here we are. And we had that opening, and you know, I had a sinkhole there back in June. We just opened it last week.
What now?
Well, we built it, and the second 2 days before I was about to open what we call One Heart Park, it had sinkholes everywhere. And
Well, that was unforeseen.
you're telling me. And so they called me out there, and the first thing I'm seeing is this pour and play pad is very expensive, but I had them cut it open. And when we cut it open, there was actually 3 and 4 foot holes all in the playground area. So what we did, I just had to think it out and get back, and what I said was take the equipment down, let's dig it out and do it right and do it over. And we did, and just last Thursday we had it, probably 300 people showed up. What gets you, I may tear up, but people don't, I mean, there was a man 30 years old in a wheelchair, and he says, I've been waiting for something like this for 30 years, so I could do the things that other kids do, where it's a slide or ride a, you know, just ride something, give it a little swing. I mean, because people with special needs don't have this. And you got to know that what I found out with this, I got this from Emma. If everybody knows Emma, she's 4 years old. You go on site, she is special. And when I saw her first time, I kind of got to thinking, how does her mother and father swing with her? How do they put her on a slide? How do they interact? So that's when I kind of took it on and said, we're going to make them do this.
Who's Emma?
Emma is a 4-year-old little girl who has Turner syndrome, and she belongs to Geraldine and Kenny Wasson. If you go online and they'll pick up Emma, she has like 5,000 or 6,000 followers. She drilled me a heart, that's why we call it One Heart Park. And
Is she local?
mm-hmm.
She's from Arkansas?
She's North Little. She really is.
I wish I could see your face.
If it was in the paper last week, long story short, she is a special young lady. First time I met her, I was talking to her mother and father, and she can hear, but it's tough for her to communicate, but she was humming, You Are My Sunshine. I got to listen to her, and she was singing, but she's special. So there's a lot of special ones just like her.
And she named the park.
Well, we were going to call it Emma's Park, but more I talked about it, it's more than just Emma out there. There are so many people. Let's say you're an older gentleman and you're in a wheelchair, or you can't move how do you play with your grandchildren? So it's not just for Emma's, it's also for older people. And I call it a universal park now. It's because it's for so many people. So we built it, and pretty daggone neat.
And it's high overdue, time
Yeah, it
overdue,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very proud of that one. I guess when Joe was, I couldn't talk to her that day because I'd always tear up, and it's a special thing. It really is.
We're going to talk about it again at the end of the program because I want everybody to realize it's out there and it's worth saying all over again at the end of the program. This is a great place to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more with Terry Hartwick, Director of Parks and Rec in North Little Rock, Arkansas. We'll find out about the park facilities and activities that you might want to try out. And I'll ask him about his stint in the U.S. Air Force and what he knows about Vietnam. He was there.
Listen to all UIYB past and present interviews by going to flagandbanner.com and clicking on Radio Show. Also, by joining our email list and liking us on Facebook, you'll get a reminder notification the day of the show with a sneak peek of that day's guest. Back to you, Kerry.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy. My guest today is Terry Hartwick, Director of Parks and Rec in North Little Rock, Arkansas. While we were on break, we played the music from, what was that from, Tim?
The show Parks and Rec.
The show Parks and Rec. You watch that show, Terry?
I've seen it. I don't watch it all the time, but I've seen it. Yeah. It's pretty neat.
It may be your life now.
No.
No.
As I teased Joe Smith about our mayor, I said 3 years, 3 months, and right now 7 days. So
That's how long you've been there?
no, that's how long I got left.
Oh! Okay. What?
He and I are going out together, I think.
Oh, you're?
Yeah.
Let's learn about you. AFB is currently sponsoring the AETN documentary about the Vietnam War. You are the right age to remember it. Can you tell us about your involvement?
Well, my involvement was, I'll start back when I was about 17 years old. I'm from Rose City. We didn't have a lot of money, so I went to what's called ASTC then.
What's ASTC?
Arkansas State Teachers College.
Oh, yeah.
And that became SC, now it's UC. But
Yeah.
I went there and then got to play around too much like usual, like a lot of us. I lost my grades. Back then, if you lost your grades, you better find something, Navy, Air Force, or you were going to get drafted in the Army. So I went Air Force. Went through basic training, got in 67, came out in 68, went to Lackland, and next thing you know, I'm being shipped to what they call an isolated tour, which was Southeast Asia. I can admit in the Air Force, what I saw was not near what you're seeing on TV. I was insulated from it. We did have what we call SAT teams that patrol the planes. I guarded a KC-135, which fueled the B-52s. Did I see action? No, I saw people and was close to people who saw action. That's the best way to put it. I can tell you though, all of us was young. We were very young guys. Most of us 17, 18 years old. Just left home. I'd never been on a plane before until I got on the one at Adams Field and took off to San Antonio, and then going to we went through Northwest Orient Airlines. I spent the night in Japan before we flew into our base of operations. But we were young, so when I say young, it's not like the people today. They've got families, they've got wives, they've got kids. I don't know how they do it. I really do. So we take our hat off to these people this day. In fact, us, young, full of vinegar, didn't we didn't fear anything. We didn't know what fear was. I can tell you though, the first month and the last month I was there on my 13th month tour. It was a 13-month tour which you served. The first month was always the craziest. You're new, you're kind of scared. Well, you are scared. And then the last month, if you're there, you're saying, I'm almost made it, so don't screw it up now. Vietnam was kind of a crazy time. When we came back from the United States, I remember you was teasing me about my hair. It's not that long, but I tried to grow it longer back then because that was a fad, and we'd take gel and put on our hats and stick it underneath our hats and put our hats down low. So we could look like we were part of the in crowd when we came back. But Vietnam was a time where young people went to fight, didn't always know what they were fighting for. Some of them were drafted, didn't even believe in the war, but they gave their all. And had some good friends that gave their all. I was lucky. I served my 13 months, came back to the United States and gave it another 2.5 years, and probably the smartest thing I ever did was join the service at that time. I was not mature enough to get grades, so as I told you, I lost my grades. But I can remember walking around KC-135s, and I can remember walking. In fact, I was reading an article on the SR-71 the other day. That's what they call that, the black bird, they call it, fly 80,000 feet and take a picture of a golf ball and you read the label. I guarded that, so what I guess I'm saying, but the friends you made were really special. I can remember we were guarding a fuel depot out in the Indian Ocean, I guess it was. Yeah, it was between us and China. And it was cold. You wouldn't think it'd get colder, but it gets cold and rainy, and it rains and rains and rains and rains. So I remember this guy named Pooh Cortez. We called him Pooh. He was from Madison, Wisconsin. It was so cold, we slept together and didn't think a thing about it. I mean, we're hugging each other. It was something else. So, but you have friends that it was called war. You just didn't know it was war because we're kind of isolated. Now, there were some guys that saw a lot more than I saw, and I take my hat off to them. Like I say, I lost a lot of friends.
Did you lose some friends?
Oh yeah, and you were asking me if I watch it. I don't.
The documentary?
Yeah, and even when we talk about Vietnam, I've never talked about it very much. It's just what it was.
Yeah.
It's just, but I mean, did I see anything big? I was lucky. I didn't, but there was a lot of guys that I saw. In fact, one time we were sitting at a C-130, and the bay was down, and I kind of climbed up in it and thought, what is this? And it was dark. And I remember it was body bags, just body bags after body bags laying there. So anyway, it is what it is, and it's a horrible time, but I very seldom watch things like that. I hardly ever talk about it to my kids. It's just something you did, and you came back, and you go forward.
My father was a prisoner of war in World War II,
Wow.
and I didn't know about it for years before he finally started talking about it, but it took years and years and years before he was ready to talk about it.
Yeah, I can think of Michael Griffin from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and if you think about Michael, he was one of these guys that got in the service and probably never had a girlfriend. So we get over there, and the first thing you're seeing is you see some girls at R&R, and next thing you know, he goes AWOL.
What?
He just, and you go, I remember walking around two planes and taking his, because if he hadn't, I took his place because I didn't want him to get caught. But he finally got caught when he walked over one of these girls, and you hear stories like that all the time. I mean, we were young. Some of them had never dated before. You got to remember, I think the oldest guy I remember through my basic training was only 19. I was 17 I was 18 about to be 19. And so we're all so young, and you go over there. I remember one guy from Texas had got a Dear John later, and he sit there and drank a bottle of vodka. So you're all so young, you're going through many emotions, and all you do is support each other. And that's the biggest thing I take away. The friends I've made at that time in my life are in fact, a lot of guys will Google and they'll say, I see you, is this Terry Hartwick that was at, CCK, yeah, or was it, where was it, Nom Nostra, yeah. And they'll see me, and but they remember, we all remember. So
y'all have all connected through the internet?
Yeah, a lot of people have connected through me. Like I said, I think they'll be sitting there trying to think of the old days. This guy named Don Johnson just texted me today and says, is this the Terry Hartwick that was in CCK? And he's talking about, remember when you did this? And I'm going, man, he had a good memory because I don't remember any of it. But he knew the color of my car and everything back then. When I was at, I wasn't at CCK, I was at, Nom Nostra then. So, but yeah, they get a hold of you, and then we have special time.
Y'all may have to have a reunion soon.
Oh shoot, heck of them are probably dead and gone, but it gets that time. So
when you came back, you went to work at Haverty's Furniture? Selling furniture?
Right after that, when I came back, my dad died soon. I kind of took his job. He was an insurance man, but I didn't like it. And then I remember a guy named O.J. Reck, a very, very well thought of man, said, Terry, go work for a big company. Get to work for a big company. So I met a guy named Ray Fury, still alive. Still talk to him at least once a month.
He's a mentor of yours?
Yeah, he became one. He was meaner than hell. But he made me better than I wanted to be. I mean, when you sit there and think, well, I'm going home, it's 9 o'clock, I'm through selling furniture. Some guys walked out. Me, I'd see a lampshade that's off or a bedspread messed up, and I'd go back in, open it up, and fix it. Because of him. He would get you. So he made me better than I wanted to be.
Well, you were the top 20th salesman in the nation.
Well, yeah,
So I don't think it was all him. I think you're pretty ambitious. You know, I can always, I always know people that are going to make a difference because they walk by a trash can and see a piece of paper on the floor.
That's
and
one of my mottos. Have you heard that before?
No!
What made you say that?
Nothing. ESP?
Well, Fury may be better than I wanted to be because you got to do that. You do the extra. So I used to when I was at the chamber, I'd give speeches to all these kids. And what happened, I was in the mayor's office, and there's this young man walked up, and I said, I didn't know how he got there. He says, "Are you hiring?" I went, "No." So, see, I was a little bit rude, but I didn't know how he got there. So anyway, I'm at the window looking out over Main Street, and I looked up, and he bent over and picked up a piece of paper. So I called to Don Gilbert. He was a policeman. I said, "Don, go get that guy. Go get him right there. There he is." Well, Don brought him back handcuffed. I went, no. Don't do that. And make a long story short, I said, "You want a job, you've got one now." And he didn't understand why. I said, "Well, up and down Main Street, people have been walking all day long, and that piece of paper's been blowing, and you wind up picked up, throwing it in the trash. Okay?" So I hired him. Well, take it from there to my son Daryl. So I'd see Daryl, and he went, Daryl's later 3 years at North Rock, went on to try to be a Razorback, but I could holler at him, "Daryl, right, pick up the paper," which meant do the extra. Don't just sit there. So when I talk to these kids in high school, I go, "I know you got to do your homework. I know you've got to call your girlfriend. I know you're going to go do something else. And when you think you can't do anything else, guess what? You can't.
Do one more thing.
Yep. Pick up the paper."
I cannot believe I mentioned that. Yep. So then, after Haverty's, you decided to quit and go to
Mayor.
I know. What made you decide to run for mayor?
Dadgum you. I don't know. I tell you, me and my brother started a little company, and it was steam cleaning. Well, we wasn't part of the good old guys. So when we bought a bond, we bought the equipment, we were going to clean this building. Next thing you know, they take it from us. And I got mad. I'm sorry.
You got mad because they were going to take it from you?
Yeah, they took the bid away. So anyway, I went to the next meeting, at the council meeting, and I said, "My name's Terry Hartwick, and I'm running for mayor." So every morning I'd get up and go visit businesses, and then I'd go to work and visit businesses. I'd walk to every neighborhood, and guess what?
What?
I got elected.
Well, I also know you got elected because you were extremely handsome, and still are.
Well, thanks. A lot of people don't think that, but yeah, I'm sorry, I'm tearing up. This brings back too many memories. But
I know I'm dragging you through the old times. All right, we've been through Vietnam, we've been through Emma's Park. You are giving me a great interview. I wish everybody could see how emotional you are about the things you're passionate about. What was the most challenging about being the mayor?
learning that nobody means it personal. I remember one guy calling up and says, "I put my trash on your doorstep," and you know, it was as y'all remember, I met Gina during the middle of that thing. So she was the mayorette, I was mayor. Probably the best thing ever happened. But long story short,
did you meet her because you were the mayor?
She was working for me downstairs at that time.
Oh, that would have made the newspaper.
It did. If you go back, there's many newspapers. In fact, I get tickled. Craig O'Neill used to call me Mayor Heartthrob and the Majorette. So, but what was the toughest thing? I don't think the mayor was tough. I enjoyed people. I mean, even if you're fussing at me, I can understand that because usually you're calling it a problem. And I always say a problem is a chance for me to pick up that paper, or a problem is a chance for me to do good. So I didn't mind it. I really enjoyed it. I still embrace people. Went to the chamber and same thing. It's really very political, but I embrace it. If you've got a problem, if you've got something wrong with the park, and you sit there and don't tell me, that's not the right way. I want you to tell me, so give me a chance to fix it. Don't just sit there and talk about Terry. And there's people that part with you know, but it just give me a chance to fix it. And if I don't, after that, then you got a chance to pitch it.
There is no way to get anything done if your ego comes first.
No, I always say a lot of people I remember when I got elected, it was funny. Everybody, you go from Terry to mayor. Everybody's mayor. Your Honor, you're mayor, you're mayor. And I just say, guys, I'm Terry. I'll be Terry long after I'm mayor. So it was easy to say Terry.
Did you run a second time?
I did. Pat Hayes beat me. In fact, Pat Hayes and I became very close friends. In fact, I call him one of my best friends. He and I got very, very close. I think he was an unbelievably good mayor. I think Joe Smith is unbelievable. We were just different. Back there when I ran, it was more or less me and Coach Burnett and Bob Sisson, my CFO, and a few people. And we get together every morning. I always remember, I'll tell this funny story with you. Coach Burnett was the principal of high school. A lot of people maybe listening remember him. He was very big. And I remember he'd walk down the hallways and all those guys would just back up.
Why?
Because he was big and mean.
Oh.
He would wear your tail out if you got it. So I got elected and he was on my staff. He was already public works director. So every day we'd go in there and we'd talk about roads we're going to fix, ditches we're going to do. And I'd sit there and he'd be saying, I'd say, yes, sir. And yes, sir. Every time he'd say something, he said, yes, sir. So after about the first month, he called me and said, can I come speak to you? And I went, yes, sir. So he came in there and he said, you do know I work for you. I went, yes, sir, I do. But I go back to high school, so as always, yes, sir, Mr. Burnett, yes, sir. So that was I love that story.
So, what was it like to lose?
Oh, at the time, it's hard because even Pat and I've talked about this. Some of the friends you had they're not your friends as close as you were. Frank Fletcher's still very close to me. Sam Hilburn, Buck Matthews. A lot of people who are close to you are still very close. I have a very good support group. Mm-hmm. But there are those people, but you can't get mad at them because a lot of them are making their living through the city. So why would they stay loyal to me when they got a new mayor? Mm-hmm. And Pat and I, like I say, became very close. When I took over the chamber, we had 288 members. When I left, we had 1,600. If you think about it, Pat could have probably said, I don't want Terry there, and they probably wouldn't have hired me. But he didn't, and so with that, from Caterpillars to Dickie Stevens Field, I could go on and on, I don't want to. From MIMS, I don't know if you know it, but when I was mayor, we started MIMS, me and David Jones did, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, MIMS was just nothing. It was, we used to have what they call A1 ambulance service.
That's my father's, you better not say anything about it.
A1?
Mr. Krause is my father.
Oh my goodness. What I called it was scoop and run is what I used to call it.
We could tell you stories. I guess you could tell me stories. I wish I really hadn't busted out on that and let you tell me some stories.
I always thought A1 was good, but I remember I had to look at him and go, you're not MIMS, you're not saving lives on the street. And MIMS does make a difference when you're right there. So me and David Jones got together and he says, I'll do this if you would North Rockville. So I actually got rid of them and we took on MIMS. So I'm very proud of that one too. Really.
You should be. Okay, this is another great place to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about you moving from the mayor's office to the Chamber of Commerce, and all the things you kind of touched on just a minute ago.
Okay.
And we've already talked about your Air Force stint.
Listen to all UIYB past and present interviews by going to flagandbanner.com and clicking on Radio Show. Also, by joining our email list and liking us on Facebook, you'll get a reminder notification the day of the show with a sneak peek of that day's guest. Back to you, Kerry.
You're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy. My guest today is Terry Hartwick, Director of Parks and Rec in the North Little Rock, Arkansas. If you've got questions or comments for my guest or me, this is your chance to call.
The number is 501-433-0088.
Or you can email me at?
The email is questions@upyourbusiness.org.
And I am tweeting, so if you want to tweet me, you can tweet at Ask Kerry McCoy, and we're using the hashtag #UpYourBusiness. So now you've lost to Patrick Hayes, the mayorship. Do you get appointed to the Chamber of Commerce?
No, really I went back to Haverty's for a few years. I really did, and worked at Haverty's, ran the North Little Rock operation. I always thought I'd probably run a Haverty store someday, and then me and my wife, at that time, Gina, we started building subdivisions, and we own storage units. I don't know if you know it, we own probably 1,300.
Well, that was a good business back then. I don't know if it still is.
It still is. We still have a couple that will be hashed out soon, I'm sure. But yeah, we did those things. Long story short, we started expanding and doing things. But then I they asked me to move, and I said, well, for another Haverty's, and I went, all right, give me Pensacola, and they went, well, give another one. I said, Pensacola.
Hawaii.
Oh yeah, no, they don't have Hawaii, but I kept saying Pensacola. Finally, they looked at me and said, you're going back to sales floor. They demoted me.
Oh.
Well, you're getting that chained and you clog it up. So I went back to the sales floor, but at that time I knew I was going to make a different decision. So I was reading the paper. North Rock was trying to hire a Chamber of Commerce president, and I remember they kind of had a person in mind, I should say. But I went to see Rick Ashley and Bob Birch and some of those guys who were very influential, and I would say in North Rock and still are, and looked at them and said, I deserve an interview. And they went, okay. So I remember going to that committee, and there was Carol Langston, Paul Strack, and I can still see the face. All I told them was, and I just became a salesman again, says, if you want the chamber to be bigger than your expectations, I'm your guy, and I'm going to make it something that people can be proud of. We're going to do things that you've never seen or heard. If you remember, I put on 4 state basketball championships.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we did those.
With big, important people.
Oh, yeah, and then I still do the tip-off. If you remember, we had the RV convention where I had over 1,000 RVs all over North Little Rock. Make a long story, I tried to think outside the box. So people, I didn't want you to join the chamber and slap you on the back, see you next year. I wanted you to get something out of it, to see that I could get business from being part of this chamber. And that's still my philosophy. If you don't know it, we started our own HIPIC program, which gave people health insurance. We did that back, I don't know, probably 2002 or 3. A guy named Francis Brown came to me and says, you know, people are paying enormous fees for their health insurance. So we started HIPIC. So if you're a small business and had 2 or 3, we'd put 2 or 3 with this, 2 or 3 with this 15 or 20. We made a big package and we'd sell the package, so everybody got cheaper insurance.
Did they still do that?
They still do it, but Obamacare has kind of knocked it out. But at one time we had, and I may be exaggerating, but we had like 3,000, 4,000 carriers. So it got big in our state, and we offered it then to other chambers. I didn't want to be the guy that just says you got to buy from me, so we offered it to Conway, Fayetteville, Springdale, all the chambers like that. And so a lot of people were involved with the HIPIC program at that time, which was very successful.
Seems very hard to manage.
Well, I hired a person named Richard Eden, which was really good, and with him, and at that time, Qual Choice, it was easy. We just joined hands, and Qual Choice is in the insurance business. Richard was our agent of choice, and then he would go around and sell the program to other chambers, which became very successful.
I bet he sends you a Christmas card every year.
He's still at the chamber. I saw him the other day, but he's a good man. He deserves everything.
What's the most important thing about creating and motivating a group of individuals or volunteers like that, or getting something?
I don't know. Gary Brooks told me one time, he's a friend of mine, still is very close to me, that and don't take this egotistically, but I can motivate people, and people like maybe just getting behind me and we working together. What's the biggest thing is getting people to believe in what you're believing in and showing them how it works. To me, it's not that hard. You get them to looking at you and you get them to shaking their head like you're doing, and you know you've got them.
I'm doing it.
There you are. And then with that, you show them the importance of it. If you're one or two, if you're just a self person in your business, if I can get you clients, I used to look at some people like this and go, your membership due, say $250, I don't know what it is. If you cannot get back $250 out of your membership, then you need to find something else to do. And before people would even join, I'd go, I don't want your money. I want you to just see what we're about. So our FY program, I started FYI probably 2001, had 15 people. I'm sure John Owens and the group over there are now still like we were doing 150 to 200 people.
What's FYI stand for?
For your information.
Okay.
We just bring people in to speak and tell them about, and you have sponsorships. And you do like maybe John Swanson from me is what they're doing. Or I think P. Allen Smith has spoken there before. So it's just a speaking thing. But what's neat is you can come to lunch. And you can do it in Little Rock, too. My son works for Little Rock Regional Chamber now. So you can come to lunch, you can sit down with a group of people and not make them mad at you. You can actually say what you do and talk business. And that's an asset when you don't sit networking. So I made ours more about networking, and I would almost call every person that joined. I want to make sure they're getting their dues and get what they thought they were worth. If they wouldn't, tell me. In fact, I remember Tyson out there called me one time and said, you got us to join the chamber. I went, yep. He says, we need our street fixed. And I went there, they showed me this big pothole. So I called, I was lucky I could still call the Bobby Ward, who was working for the city then. Well, they just asphalt the street because it needed. And he went, wow, what do you need now? I said, I just need you to start sponsoring stuff. So it was a give and take, and that's what it takes to, I like it. Let's just put it this. I like it, and it's worthwhile. Chambers are worthwhile. Now Parks is worthwhile. The city's worthwhile. You should be part. And I'll tell you one more story. When I was at Haverty, you're asking me about that. I remember Ray Fury one time held my check up for me.
Who?
Ray Fury. This is the guy that made me better than I want to be.
Oh, okay.
And he held on to it, and he said, you did your community service yet? And I went, yeah. He says, no, have you done your community service yet? And I didn't really know what he meant, but what that means is, here you are, you want to make a living in this city, and you want people to buy furniture from you, but are you turning around doing something in return to help other people? So I kind of got it after that. So I even today, I'll see people come up to me, and in fact, that guy just did today. He says, you're Terry Hartwick, aren't you? And I went, yeah. He says, I bought furniture from you. I mean, he was talking about 35 years ago, and I'm going, you bought a Johnson Tall baby bed, you know, I'll name it out. But it's funny that I think they'll know me from mayor or something like that, and you'd be surprised how many people recognize because I sold them furniture.
Because you did a good job and you cared and you listened.
I like it, so it was good.
You like everything. And I think that just emotes from you.
If I don't like what I'm doing, it's my fault. So why am I doing it for?
Move on.
Move on.
What are you most proud of? You've done a lot. You've done MIMS. You've done the Equestrian Park. You've grown the chamber from...
It was about 288 to 1,600 when I left.
Yeah. You've helped facilitate moving the Dickie Stevens Park.
Yeah.
You've
Bill Valentine, he was wonderful in those days, man.
Yes, and you've grown. You were part of the revitalization of downtown North Little Rock.
Well,
you were part of the Mall Mail and...
Yeah, we
East
went out
McCain
west.
Park.
In fact, I back when I was mayor, I tried to annex everything. I mean, I almost annexed Mall Mail, if you remember that. We had an election, lost by 800 votes, so I could see that there was a lot of expansion going out there. So we got pretty far out there, but again, I don't know. I guess
hard to pick. You've done so much.
well, I don't think of it that way. I guess it's just part of the job. I'm not trying to play goody to you. I'm just saying I wake up every day and like this. I saw your son shaking his head when I said mountain biking a while ago. I don't mountain bike, and he loved it. And then I see people that like pickleball. You ever heard pickleball lately?
No, never heard of it.
Well, guess what? It's coming, and
What is it?
I have no idea. But I hear more people saying pickleball's on the curve.
We've got a phone call. Let's see who this is. Hello, you're on Up in Your Business with me and Terry Hartwick. Have you got a question for us?
Yes, I was hoping that Mayor Hartwick could talk about the Zipline Park that's going over at the Quarry View.
All right, I just spoke about this morning. The Zipline Park is something I proposed probably a year and a half ago, wasn't it? And now it's illegal. What happened, they kind of got on to me because I was leasing the property, but I didn't go out for bids. And so what they said now, they're revising it so they can go out for bids. But it's been sitting in what I would call a legal sinkhole. And I will try to resurrect that at the late part of this year. I believe it or not, I was just talking about this morning to the legal department. When can I go back after this again?
Where are you going to put it?
He said in the quarry. At the quarry, you go to the top.
On the river? That river
Yeah,
quarry?
that river quarry. And at the top, we had what we call a rope building course that a company was going to build. Very fine company. They're already doing it. But I was going to put a zip line from the top all the way down towards where you come into the FOP lodge. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in.
Tell me about the business of Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Joe Smith and I were sitting around one night, and I looked at him. I was still at the chamber, and I said, make me a code enforcement officer. And I was just teasing because it's been one of those days where
What's a code enforcement?
Well, it's just one
you
of
mean
those-
where you drive around and write people tickets because they got too many signs on their
and
building?
I just
that
said,
sounds
give me a
awful.
job, what I was telling you, because
Oh,
I
my
said
God.
I had one of those days where I probably made 2 or 3 speeches, and maybe nothing had gone right. So he looked at me and he said, I think I'll make you my parks guy. And I went, what? And I said, so we talked about it for a little bit, and I said, well, let's talk about it in 2 or 3 more months and see if we're still on the same page. So 3 or 4 months went by. Joe said, I'm still offering it. And I said, I had to give the chamber 6 months notice at that time. So I said, you got me. You got me for as long as you're here, so that's what I did. I said I'd give him 5 years at that time, and we're down 3 years, 3 months, and as I said, 7 days.
You were just burned out at your other place.
Yeah, you kind of get that way sometimes, but I could do it again, but I want to do a little bit more. See if this makes sense. I mean, the chamber's great. I love my chamber. I love Little Rock Regional Chamber. I love all. There's such good people. But I saw an opportunity to do some special things, such as One Heart Park, such as equestrian playground, such as a newer, better golf course. And so with that, with the time I had left, I thought that I really wanted to work. I said, let's go for it, Joe. So me and the mayor struck up a deal, and here we are, 2 years, almost 2 years later.
Wow. We're not going to take a break, but I am going to just remind everybody that you're listening to Up in Your Business with me, Kerry McCoy, and my guest today is Terry Hartwick. He's the Director of Parks and Rec in North Little Rock, Arkansas. And we're going to, we've only got about 5 minutes left. If you want to make a phone call, you could do it really quick. What's the number, Tim?
The number is 501-433-0088.
How many parks does North Little Rock have? You said something really...
35 separate parks. And then
That's a lot of parks. Is that more than most cities?
I don't know. You got to know that at one time I remember Paul Harville called me about maybe coming to work for Little Rock Regional Chamber. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to Paul, Terry Hartwick and Little Rock just doesn't sound right. So it's one of these things, I don't know, but Burns is special. I mean, I bet this weekend alone, we'll have 17 soccer fields going at the same time, okay? Which means multiple soccer games all day long. We got the BMX track, which is these kids riding these bicycles, and girls and boys, and they're going up and over these little humps, the finals of that. Then we got the big damn bridge going here coming right through the middle of us, okay? So this weekend, I would imagine 40,000 people maybe coming through the park. I have no idea. Just think about that. 17 soccer fields going all day long for 2 straight days. And then BMX track, and then the big damn bridge going over. Think, what many people is that? 2,000 or 3,000? And then you're not you're not even counting the people who take their dogs to the park, or guy fishing, or the tennis courts. I mean, I just finished 3 new tennis courts. We're going to we got a big, huge tennis tournament coming at the 1st of October. So I just finished the courts 4, 5, and 6, which is front door, brand new tennis courts. So they don't even count. And then the people riding the horses, and who's mountain biking, and who's just biking. So it's amazing.
It is amazing. Does it have a playground? It has the Emma's playground, or
but we always have Funland. I didn't even mention we still have Funland Park.
I was going to ask you, do you still have Funland? Tell everybody what Funland is.
Well, when I was a kid, it's where it has lots of rides. We still got the choo-choo train that takes around the park. We've still got little Ferris wheels. We got little merry-go-rounds. We got climbing walls.
Tilt-a-whirl?
Yeah, I don't know if the tilt-a-whirl still. We still got climbing walls. We got a bungee cord jumper. So we got multiple things. We still got 2 pavilions there that we rent. So it's pretty neat what all we have. And then you still got many, many slides and rides everywhere. I mean, I know I'm forgetting something. Oh.
I need to bring my grandkids over there. I forget about Burns Park. You said at the top of the show it was the 2nd largest park in the United States.
You might check it. It may be 3rd now. It's municipal park's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So it's up there. Whatever it is, it's big. It's like 1,793 acres. And that's like, say, not counting the other little parks around. So
I don't know how you keep up with all of them. Is your office on Burns Park?
No, believe it or not, I'm down by the community center. See, I have 5 community centers where we have Sherman Park, North Heights, the North Rock Community Center, Rose City, and Bloomview. So I have 5 big community centers that we...
Which one are you at, the North Little Rock?
I'm at the big North Little Rock, right across from the Hayes Center.
So let's talk again about the One Heart Playground. We talked about it at the beginning of the show, and I said that it was such a special park that I think that's what you need to advertise in my Brave magazine. I really do, because it's statewide, and you said there's not very many.
There's not very many. One Heart Park, as we name, is what I call a special. It's just called a universal park for people sometimes that have special needs. Okay. And
for the parents and the children.
That's why I want to call it a universal park, because it's not just for the kids, but there was this one young boy that was there when we did the thing, and he's, you can tell he has special needs. And then, but what got me more in was a 30-year-old man that was on, he said, I've been waiting for this for 30 years, and he was in a wheelchair, and here he is 30 years old, but he says, we had nothing like this. When other kids were swinging and sliding and playing, he couldn't. So We're going to continue to make it grow. I plan on next year. I do tip-off. I've still got to do Mike Anderson. I do tip-off like David Basil does touchdown. So we have these events. And the money we make from it, we throw it into the Winhart Park. In fact, Walmart just gave us a nice contribution. So it's still catching on. It's a neat thing. But when you can see these kids who are on walkers or in a wheelchair to be able to participate on elements, rides, that they couldn't before.
Yeah.
Now you know if I tear up.
Every time. Be mad at me because every time you talk about it, you get emotional about it. I love it.
Well,
You're a special guy, Terry. It reminds me of the Miracle League in North Little Rock.
yeah. I'm still trying to get that rope course, and I think it would be something else we can just add to the mix that you can come and enjoy. And
So I guess people with special needs could ride that.
there would be a way. We'll have to do it. We have to make it all inclusive. So yes.
That'd be nice. And you start a newsletter. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Why did you feel the need for a newsletter for the parks? And who does it go to?
I forget, but I mean, it goes to anybody who wants to sign up for it. I think right now when I came, I just found out that, parks are the biggest, baddest department we have. But sometimes you don't know what's going on. So
It's the biggest, baddest?
Because we're big. We got a lot of things going on. But nobody knew about it. So I looked around and went, why don't we do our newsletter and start all you got to do is put your card in and we'll start sending it to you. So
You got to send it to everybody in North Little Rock.
well,
That's probably too many.
no, I mean we can do that. It's just a matter of we're trying to do that. I don't know how many we've got subscribing now, but it tells. We got soccer this weekend. We got the BMX this weekend. We got tennis this weekend. We got the Winhart Park this weekend. So it tells what we're doing these next 2 weeks and keeps people informed. And that's been a pretty good thing. I mean, people seem to really like it.
That just seems like something that should have been going on forever.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that we're doing now seems normal. It's just sometimes getting up off your tail and just doing it.
Executing the obvious is what you're really, really good at.
I thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It went by fast, didn't it?
I know it does.
Hope I haven't bored y'all. Did I bore everybody?
No. You got any last words of wisdom for everybody before we go?
No, I've enjoyed you. I appreciate it. Like I say, our cities, our state are pretty good places. We need to sometimes count our blessings of what we really have and shoot a say in what we don't have.
Yeah.
And
That's great advice. I brought you something.
flags, of course.
Of course, it's a desk set.
I love it. I love
and
it.
there's the U.S. Arkansas and Air Force.
Thank you. That's nice. I
Yeah, but you
appreciate
don't
that.
have that, do you?
No, I don't have that. I bought all my flags, but every time we need something at the chamber, I always call over there.
Well, you better, because I'm a
Always have.
member. Because
I
I'm a
know.
member.
I love it. I really
Thank
do.
you, Terry.
Thank you.
You're a special person. Really, thank you for coming on.
Thank y'all for listening. I hope I didn't bore anybody.
No, you're great. Who's my guest next week?
Next week is going to be the mayor of Little Rock.
Wait,
Mark,
what is
Mark,
this?
Mark, Mark,
What
Mark,
is
Stover.
this? Mayor Week?
Yeah.
Mayor month.
Mayor Month.
I like it.
So he's been elected 3 times. He's been mayor since 2007.
He ran unopposed last time. He is actually going to be opposed this time.
Is it a year away? 2 years away. Is it?
They'll start running and campaign right after the first of the year is what they do. So his
Yeah.
election would be like November, a year from November.
A year from this November.
Yeah.
A year from 2 months from. So he's got 14 months to start campaigning. Did you know he recently put a bid in for Amazon Distribution Center to be in Little Rock?
Sure.
Very
Who wouldn't? It's a normal, natural. Go for it. Why not?
Little Rock's right in the center on I-40, but our airport, I'm wondering about that.
Well, if you have Amazon Prime and you're in one of the major cities, they have like delivery that could like take an hour. Like you order it and then an hour later it's at your door. If we're going to have one of those here, Amazon Prime members of Little Rock are going to have 2-hour delivery time, which is awesome.
For products they stock.
Well, they stock everything.
They stock
now. What do they not stock?
And finally, to our listeners, thank you for spending time with me. If you think this program's been about you, you're right, but it's also been for me. Thank you for letting me fulfill my destiny. My hope today is that you've heard or learned something that's been inspiring or enlightening, and that it, whatever it is, will help you up your business, your independence, or your life. I'm Kerry McCoy, and I'll see you next time on Up in Your Business. Until then, be brave and keep it up.
You've been listening to Up in Your Business with Kerry McCoy. a production of flagandbanner.com. If you miss any part of the show or want to learn more about UIYB, go to flagandbanner.com and click on Radio Show, or subscribe to her weekly podcast wherever you like to listen. All interviews are recorded and posted the following week with links to resources you heard discussed on today's show. And Kerry's goal is to help you live the American dream.